63% of Australians are either overweight or obese. I think that America's not far behind, and I say far behind because I know that Australia has taken over America. And I go to the little town of Loveland. I have to tell you, I think that their big are bigger than our big. They're very large people in those little towns. So my inquiry always is why.
Barbara O'Neill, a renowned health expert, advocates for natural, holistic health, with many sharing success stories from her methods. In today's video, we'll uncover the secrets to weight loss, no gym required. If you've been struggling with extra weight and the health issues that come with it, that could soon be a thing of the past. I'll share my top tips for achieving a healthy body weight without spending hours exercising. And don't just take my word for it. We'll dive into the inspiring story of a retired judge who lost an amazing 70 kilos without a single workout.
So I'll give you the story of Henry to show you what he did. He was a retired judge. He came to our health retreat a few years ago now. He was, I think, 69, and he was on 6 medication. He was on medication for high blood pressure, for blood thinning, for blood cholesterol, for blood sugar, for gout, and for stomach ulcers. So he's on 6 medications. I said, "Are you interested in stopping your medication?" He said, "No, I'm very happy with my medication. Thank you very much. I always respect everyone's right for what they choose to put into their body. And shouldn't we? It's our God-given right." But we gave him hawthorn berry tea a day. We gave him a litre to drink through the day. It's not an unpleasant tea. We also gave him a little cayenne pepper. He was happy for us to try a few things. He took the herbs with him when he went home. He rang me 4 months later. He said, "Barbara, I'd like to visit you and get a few more hawthorn berries." I said, "Come for lunch, Henry." Now, when I opened the door, I did not recognise Henry. He had lost 20 kilos in 4 months. What's that, 40 pound? He said, I can do my coat up now. All the puffiness had gone out of his face. He said, "I've got a few stories for you." He said, "I went to the doctor recently to have my blood pressure taken, and the doctor stood up and left the room." He said, "Where are you going?" He said, "The machine's broken." Henry said, "Why do you say that?" He said, "Well, your blood pressure is 160 on 95. Did you hear that? That's on medication." He said, "This machine says your blood pressure is 120 on 80. It must be broken." Henry said, "That's my blood pressure now." The doctor took him off all his medication because his blood thinning's normal, his blood cholesterol's normal, his blood sugars are normal, his blood pressure's normal. He has no more gout, and he does not have stomach ulcers anymore. I think this is an incredible story because remember what Henry did? Henry went home on all his medication. Who took him off his meds? His doctor. Because if the doctor didn't take him off his meds, his blood pressure would go too low, his blood thinning would go too low, he'd start bruising all over the place because drugs come in and say, "Get out of my way, I've got a job to do whether you need it or not." Not the herbs. The herbs work with the needs of the body. I said, "Tell me what you have for breakfast, Henry." He said, "I have a spaghetti bowl of whole grain, I usually cook some millet or rice or buckwheat. I have fruit, I have coconut cream." Did you hear that? 40 kilos lost on coconut cream. He said, "I have chia seed and the ground flax, and I have a slice of sourdough spelt toast with avocado and tomato." That's not a light meal, is it? He said, "I don't eat until lunch." He said, "I have big salad, I have steamed vegetables, I have some sort of legume protein, and I might have another slice of sourdough spelt toast with avocado and tomato." And he said, "And I do not eat again till breakfast." A very decisive man. So he lost 40 pound on that diet? That's not a light diet. I said, "Tell me about your exercise program, Henry." He said, "I find I can walk another block every week." As he gets smaller, as his muscles get stronger, as his heart gets stronger, he can go further and less effort and less time. He wrote a letter to me. He's of the old school, writing letters. He wrote a letter to me a year later. He said, 38 kilos lost. So what's that, nearly 40 kilo? That's nearly 80 pound. Ooh. Incredible story of an incredible body that we live in that has an inbuilt ability to heal itself once it's given the right conditions.
Henry's diet shows how balanced nutrition aids weight management. Focusing on whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and healthy fats helps with fullness, blood sugar stability, and nutrient intake. Whole grains like millet and buckwheat are high in fiber, curbing hunger, while healthy fats from coconut cream and avocado support hormonal balance and satisfaction. Low-calorie, high-volume fruits and vegetables add bulk without many calories, and water-rich foods help with hydration. Legumes provide protein and fiber, boosting metabolism and preserving muscle, which burns more calories even at rest.
And it's the high carbohydrate diet that many people are eating today. So bread is very common. Cereal, there's a whole aisle devoted to cereal. And many people having bread and cereal for breakfast, by mid-morning they're wanting something else, so they reach for, and we're just going to say cakes, etc., because if we say everything, there's not enough room on the board for it. When you go into muffins and croissants and donuts and pasties and pies and pastry, etc., etc., etc. So we're just going to put etc. Also, pasta. I'm a fifth-generation Australian-Scottish descent. I didn't know what pasta and pizza was till I was about 18. So what did I grow up with? Sausages or chops, mashed potatoes, frozen peas or beans every single night of the week, except for Sunday when Mum would do a roast lamb. And everyone I knew ate like that. I actually had never even heard of brown bread. So this was real traditional Australian. Rice, I'd never had rice. I don't think I went to a Chinese restaurant till I was about 18, and that's the first time I ate rice. Potatoes, well, we ate potatoes every meal. And last and certainly least in nutritive value is the pure crystallised acid extracted from the sugarcane plant. And as we have looked at this, we've also acknowledged that I don't think anyone chose to eat that way. It's just fast. It's just there. And we're such a fast society today. Here it is. And we showed how when all of these things break down in the body, they break down to the singular structure of glucose.
A high carbohydrate diet can contribute to weight gain due to how the body processes and stores excess carbs. Most carbohydrates, whether from bread, pasta, or sugary snacks, are broken down into glucose, which enters the bloodstream and raises blood sugar levels. This triggers insulin release, which moves glucose into cells for energy or storage. When you consume more carbs than your body needs, insulin stores the excess as glycogen in the liver and muscles. However, glycogen storage is limited. Once full, any additional glucose is converted into fat through lipogenesis and stored in fat cells, leading to weight gain. A high-carb diet can also cause frequent blood sugar spikes and increased insulin production, potentially resulting in insulin resistance. Carbohydrates tend to be less filling than protein or fat, leading to overeating. Refined carbs, such as white bread and sugary drinks, digest quickly, causing rapid blood sugar fluctuations that can leave you hungry again, promoting a cycle of overeating and fat storage.
When we put food in our stomach, we should now leave it. Let it do its work. After about an hour and a half, 2 hours, start sipping on some water. Then you don't water down your hydrochloric acid. It takes 3.5 to 4 hours to digest a meal. If a person has a meal of watermelon, that's probably gone in about 2 hours. But when someone has a balanced meal, which is shown here, it takes about 3.5 to 4 hours to digest. And then the stomach loves a 1 hour rest. Let your stomach have a rest between meals. And in that rest time, it has time to revive and restore and replace the digestive enzymes it used at the last meal. And that's why the time-restricted eating, we've talked about this a couple of times, time-restricted eating is basically a modern name for this. Time-restricted eating, it's from the intermittent fasting, the 5-2 diet. A lot of people are familiar with that. Dr. Michael Mosley, in his book Fast Diet, he goes into the research showing why this is so effective. It's eating twice in a 24-hour period. They suggest eating a large meal at 1 and another meal at 7. But I was talking to one girl and she said, I'm fading by 10 in the morning. And she said, and I can't sleep at night because I've got so much food in my stomach. When we go to sleep, our stomach wants to sleep. So it's far superior to go back to the old adage that's been around for so many years, probably hundreds of years, that we eat breakfast as our main meal, that we have a main meal in the middle of the day, and then if anything's eaten at night, make it very light. Now, if a worker has a breakfast at 6 a.m. and then has a meal at 12 o'clock, they may need something at night. But if they have the meal at 8 and at 2 or at 9 and at 3, then it's very easy not to eat at night. So you've just got to work out what works for you. One lady said to me, she said, I give my children a really substantial breakfast, and we'll look at an illustration of meals in a minute. Should I give them a really substantial breakfast? She said, I just give them an orange for lunch. And she said, and when they come home at 3:30, and by the way, how much lunch do kids eat at school? They just want to play, don't they? So she gives them something light, and when they get home, they're hungry. How many kids get home hungry and want to eat, and then they're not wanting to eat their evening meal, and it's too late anyway? So she said, when I see that school bus come, she said, I got the table set. The kids come in, they're hungry, and have the meal there. She said it works so well. She said they never used to eat much at night because they had so much when they got home from school. But husband doesn't come home till maybe 5 or 6, and often he wants quiet. So he's very happy to just eat quietly by himself. And maybe the lady who wants to lose weight, she'll sit with her husband and drink a peppermint tea, or maybe she'll just have a bowl of salad. One lady said, but Barbara, that's when my family's together, my teenagers, my husband. I said, well, just make it a lighter meal, make it soup. Make it a bowl of soup and crackers. Crackers digest easily, much easier than bread.
Eating large meals at night can significantly contribute to weight gain, as your body's energy demands are lower during this time. When you consume a big dinner, it's processed like any other meal, breaking down into glucose. However, excess glucose is more likely to be stored as fat at night when energy needs are reduced. After a large meal, carbohydrates turn into glucose, causing blood sugar levels to rise. The pancreas releases insulin to move glucose into cells for energy, but since once glycogen stores are full, excess glucose is converted to fat. Late-night eating can disrupt circadian rhythms and slow metabolism, increasing the likelihood of calorie storage as fat. Additionally, people are often less active after dinner, preventing the burning of excess calories. Instead, consuming smaller, lighter meals at night helps you stay within your calorie needs, promoting better digestion and reducing the risk of overeating and fat storage.
And this is his story, Dr. Atkins. He said he was a GP, late 40s, putting on a bit of excess weight. He knew his science. He knew that carbohydrates stored as fat, so he decided to do an experiment on himself. He decided to stop all carbohydrates. And he theorized that if he stopped all carbohydrates, his body would start to live on his fat stores. So what did he eat? He chose foods that had no carbohydrate. So his diet was high in protein, meat, butter, cream, cheese, eggs, that's a lot of protein. Fat, meat, butter, cream, cheese, eggs, that's a lot. But something else surprised me that you never hear about. He ate 3 cups of vegetables a day, and 1 cup had to be greens. And so there was the fibre. The weight just fell off him. He theorised right. He wasn't giving carbohydrates to his body, so, well, hardly any, a little bit in the vegetables. So his body started to live on his fat stores. The weight started to drop off him. He was never hungry because these are the 3 foods that give the feeling of satiation, satisfaction. He had lots of energy because your liver can convert protein and fat to glucose if it needs it, and it can break down your fat stores to give you glucose. It's called gluconeogenesis, creating glucose from the fat stores. Has he found the perfect diet? Never hungry, lots of energy, weight's falling off him, so he started to put some of his patients on this. It is estimated that 11 million people were helped by his diet. His book was #1 on the New York Times best-selling book list 4 years running. This guy demands some attention. But the problem is that after a while, some of his patients were developing arthritis because this is a high-acid food. In fact, I had a man come to me wanting a consultation when I was in New York a few years ago. He said, I used to be one of Dr. Atkins' patients. He said, I'm a vegetarian, I'm an Adventist, but I was getting overweight, I was getting diabetes, heart disease, so I went to Dr. Atkins because he's a very famous doctor. And Dr. Atkins, he said, was a very gracious man. He said, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to stop this high carbohydrate diet. So he said, I started eating meat. I didn't eat a lot. I had a lot of vegetables. He said, I didn't get diabetes. He said, my heart problems all resolved. He said, the weight dropped. But he said, I'm getting arthritis. And he said, you are the first nutritionist that hasn't totally slammed Atkins. I'm interested. I said, well, Atkins' theory was correct. It's what I have shown you today. But what you can do superior to Atkins. You can do the plant proteins. You can do the plant fats. Dr. Atkins, on his first stage, he got people down to 20 grams of starch, carbohydrates a day. Do you know there's no need to go that low? All you need to do is greatly reduce the carbohydrates, ideally stop the wheat, eat more vegetables, eat more legumes, nuts and seeds, and you can get a similar result.
Dr. Atkins' diet focuses on significantly reducing carbohydrate intake, inducing a state known as ketosis. When carbs are drastically lowered, the body shifts from using glucose to burning stored fat for energy. Normally, carbohydrates convert to glucose for quick energy, but in the absence of carbs, fat stores are broken down into ketones for fuel. Atkins' diet features high protein and high fat foods like meat, eggs, cheese, butter, and cream, while being low in carbohydrates. These macronutrients increase fullness, reducing calorie intake and hunger. High-protein foods curb overeating and burn more calories to digest. Low-carb veggies add fiber for digestive health and help maintain ketosis. Many people see rapid fat loss and preserved muscle, achieving steady weight loss without the usual fatigue and hunger of low-calorie diets. And that's it again for today's guys. We hope these weight loss tips inspire you to take charge of your health. You don't need a tough workout routine to succeed. Small lifestyle changes can make a big difference. If you have any questions or need further advice, please drop them in the comments below. Remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more valuable health tips, and as always, stay informed, stay healthy.